Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Zara. Today I'm going to be walking you through the sci-fi books that I'm most excited about that are coming out in 2025. I did do a fantasy version of this, I think like 2-3 weeks ago. Feel free to check that one out. And I thought I would also do a dedicated sci-fi one because there are quite a few sci-fi books that I'm really excited to read this year. There are a couple that are already out. I think there's only 2 that are already out, and then the rest are coming out either this month or the following months. So the first book on my list is Hammerjang Luck by Makana Yamamoto, and this came out on January the 14th, and this is like a heist sci-fi adventure. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of heist fantasy or heist sci-fi anymore, just because I think it's quite overdone in both genres, particularly in fantasy, to be fair. But what really appeals to me about this book, and I'm not going to go too deep into plot, I actually don't like reading plot summaries because they often actually just give away a big chunk of the book. But one of the key things about this one is that the main character, I believe, has been in prison due to a botched heist, and they finally get out and get drawn back into the criminal underworld, and it's set in a futuristic Hawaiian-inspired setting, which just sounds so appealing to me. Like, I've never read a sci-fi fantasy book. I don't think I've ever read any book kind of inspired by Hawaii. I've never been, I would love to at some point in the future, but it just sounds really fascinating to me, and I really like the idea of a different set than what we typically get in sci-fi and fantasy. So that one is already out. Definitely check it out if you haven't already, but I think it sounds like it could be a really fun time. The next one that is already out is Death of the Author by Onyedi Okorafor. Onyedi Okorafor is an author that I've been wanting to read for ages, but I still just have not picked her up. I will at some point, just haven't happened to just yet. So this one is about a Nigerian American author who is facing personal and professional challenges, and she pens a sci-fi novel about androids and AI, about humanity's extinction. Now, I've said this before, it's quite hard for me to read fiction that is around the topic of AI, because this is something that I've studied pretty much my entire adult and also young adult life. So I know a lot about it as a subject matter. Don't know everything, but I do know a lot, probably a lot more than the average person. So I have tried reading, fiction books, sci-fi books with like robots and themes around artificial intelligence, sentience, all these things. And I often really struggle with them because they really characterize the issues in a really surface level way. So I'm a little bit nervous about this one, but I have heard there's a lot of really interesting thematic exploration around like love, loss, fame, and also the kind of blurred lines between fiction and reality, which is something that I quite like as a theme. And because Onyedi Okorafor has already been on my list for so long, I feel like this could be quite a good one to start with. Then the next one that I have is an author that I've also been wanting to read for a while. I do actually own some of her other books, and that is The Dream Hotel by Laila Lalami, and this book comes out on March 4th. By the time this video is out, it will already be out, I think. So yeah, definitely go check it out. Like, there is a really detailed plot summary that I didn't want to read, but this is like a genre-bending mixture of science fiction, thriller, and literary fiction. I think it's basically, because I didn't want to read the detailed plot summary, but I've been finding it really hard to find like a brief summary of it, because I think it's quite hard to describe. But I think it basically talks about like the dangers of tech that is supposed to make our lives easier, which is a topic that I'm personally very interested in and like very conflicted about as well. And Laila Lalami has also written historical literary fiction before that I do own one of her books that I'm really eager to read. But this one just sounds like pretty amazing, particularly when you think about it in the context of like today's society. There's a lot of like exploration around like surveillance and things like that. So very poor attempt at summarizing what this book is about, but at least I hope it gives you some idea of what it is about. This is one that I'm definitely going to be picking up because, one, she's an author that I've been wanting to read for ages, and 2, this plot just sounds absolutely fantastic. Next we have Luminous by Sylvia Park, and this one comes out on March the 11th. So this one also might be out by the time this video goes out. This one apparently is described as being for fans of Clara and the Sun, which, if you remember, I was very kind of lukewarm on that book for the exact reasons that I talked about in the previous book, which is that I think it talks about the topic of artificial intelligence really surface level, and like robots really surface level, which is why I found it really hard to connect to the book. But this one is set in a post-war unified Korea, and humanoid robots have fully integrated into society as workers, citizens, and family members. I'm willing to give it a go. Again, I'm a bit nervous, but I'm willing to give it a go because the premise just sounds so fascinating, and I'm hoping that maybe there's a bit more nuance to it. I'm willing to give it a go just to see if there's more nuance to it. So I'm really, really excited about this one. I'm also really excited about the setting as well, like quite an interesting setting. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of political discourse in it as well, which I'm really excited to read. Then the penultimate one is The Geographer's Map to Romance, which comes out on the 20th of March. I think all of these come out like in the next couple of weeks or months. So now this one I believe is actually the second in a series, but I've heard that this one from early reviewers is like significantly better than the first book. So I probably will read the first book just so that I can read the second book, because it sounds so wonderful, so delightful. It does obviously have like a romance element in it. It's essentially following, I think, two geography professors who are in a failed marriage of convenience. They reconnect for a specific mission, and it's meant to be like historical romance fiction, which again is not something that I typically read a lot of, but it just sounds like a really fun time. It sounds like it could be like a really good summer read, so I'm definitely going to check these two books out. And then the final one is Immaculate Conception by Ling Ling Huang, and this comes out on the 13th of May. Now this one I'm really excited for. I've not heard of this author before. I don't know if this is their debut book or, you know, they've written other books, but I saw the plot summary of this and I just thought, wow, that sounds amazing. It's basically a story that follows the main character, who is a struggling artist, and it's basically following her journey as she grapples with her identity, friendships, particularly one with like another artist. I believe like there's an element of like how cutting edge technology can kind of upend relationships, even though those technologies are purported to enhance relationships and communication and things like that. So again, like a lot of discussion around like whether technology is actually benefiting us in today's society. And as I've said before, that's a theme that I actually really like exploring, especially when we look at it in the context of today. And I do think there is also elements of like horror and kind of gothic elements in this one. So and it's very much satire as well, which sounds like an absolute dream to me. So those are some of the books that I'm really excited that are coming out this year, particularly in H1. I might do another one on H2, like in the summer, once we get a bit more information on other books and series that are coming out. But I hope some of those maybe piqued your interest and you'll consider checking them out. I most certainly will be. Let me know if there's any sci-fi books that you're interested in reading that are coming out this year. It doesn't matter if they've already come out, if they're coming out later on, because I'm always keen to add more to my list. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you like this type of content, please do consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, take care, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.